Today, we convened to propose a global alliance for the implementation of the two-state solution. Of course, from our perspective, from the Kingdom's perspective at least, primarily with a focus on establishing the Palestinian state. In the wake of our discussions, we will organize practical follow-up meetings at the senior working level in Riyadh, Brussels, Cairo, Oslo, Amman, and Ankara. These meetings will focus on the action points identified during today's ministerial meeting aimed at advancing UN and other related peace efforts in the context of implementing the two-state solutions. I want to express a special gratitude to our co-conveners, our co-chairs, the European Union and Norway, with whom we have been working very closely over the past months on this initiative and on this program. And I am also grateful to all the countries that attended, well over 90 countries, almost 60 ministers, showing how much interest there is and how much focus there is on actually moving towards a permanent settlement of the Palestinian conflict, which can, of course, only happen through the establishment of a Palestinian state. Thank you, and with that, I ask for your questions.
الاعتراف بالدولة الفلسطينية. ماذا سيضم هذا التحالف من دول حتى هذه اللحظة؟ وفيما يخص المؤتمر الذي سيعقد في الرياض ماذا سيستهدف بالضبط؟
يضم عدد كبير من الدول لا يسعني تعدادهم الآن، لكن سيركز على مسارات عملية واقعية فعلية لتحقيق قيام حل الدولتين، وبالتأكيد سيكون التركيز على قيام الدولة الفلسطينية باعتبار أنه أحد الدولتين قائم فعليا.
Excellency, Mike Wagenheim with I-24 News. I had a simple question for you, and hopefully the Norwegian foreign minister can take a bit more difficult question. There's been some semantics around what would be required for normalization between Israel and Saudi Arabia. We've heard a pathway to a Palestinian state. We've heard simply a Palestinian state has to happen first. Can you kind of define a little bit more clearly the parameters, and I'll ask my question.
I think the Crown Prince's speech to the Shura Council was quite clear that we need to see the establishment of a Palestinian state, and that is what we are focused on.
And for the Norwegian foreign minister, you had recognized after the deadliest Palestinian terror attack ever, 7 months afterward, you recognized a Palestinian state. And published reports said at the time, your argument was that it would strengthen the moderates and sideline the likes of Hezbollah, Hamas, the Iran-backed Axis. That axis has not been sidelined at all. In fact, they've been strengthened since then and continue to fire at Israel. Do you regret or in any way qualify that decision at this point, knowing that the hardliners have not been moderated at all?
Well, no, I don't regret at all. I absolutely, on the contrary, I think that this is a very important part of building the puzzle of a better solution, in which the moderate forces represented here by Prime Minister Mustafa and the Palestine Authority can be strengthened physically through economic means, but also politically by universal recognition, which is the opposite of the extremist forces. This is the state of Palestine that lies in the vision of the Oslo Peace Accords. That is not the Hamas vision. It what came out of PLO and Fatah and the broad agreement to lay down arms and to build a Palestinian state. And I think it is incredibly important that right now, at this very moment, that we continue to do that work. That is linked to the normalization that His Highness talked about, is linked to what we do at the HALC, and we just had a meeting in the donor committee, and it's linked to the work to try to strengthen the possibilities for the Palestine Authority to again take control over Gaza when the war is over.
Thank you.
نستطيع أن نقول بأن هذا التحالف هو نتاج للجهد الذي قامت به اللجنة الوزارية العربية الإسلامية قبل أكثر من سنة ونصف تقريبا، وهل نستطيع أن نعرف ملامح هذا التحالف سمو الأمير؟
هو لا شك جزء من جهود اللجنة الوزارية، لكنه أيضا جهد مشترك بيننا وبين الأصدقاء في الاتحاد الأوروبي وفي النرويج، ويتجسد في اجتماع اليوم الذي حضره أكثر من 80 دولة، 60 منهم على المستوى الوزاري، وسيكون مسارات عمل كما ذكرت، ومع انطلاق مسارات العمل سيكون هناك وضوح أكثر كيف نستطيع أن نساهم في قيام حل الدولتين فعليا واقعيا على الأرض ليس نظريا، وبالتأكيد من خلال قيام الدولة الفلسطينية.
Carrie Norton for Le Monde. Hi, I have two questions for you and Mr. Borrell. Your Excellency, yesterday your countries, the EU, France, the US, Qatar, and the Emirates have requested a 21 days call for truce. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has already just said on the plane and just outside of the plane that he was rejecting it. What are your reactions, both of you, please?
I wish I could tell you I was surprised. Unfortunately, we have seen since the eruption of the war in Gaza a pattern that every time we are told that we are close to a ceasefire in Gaza, it doesn't happen. Similarly, when we were with our partners working together on a very concrete call for a ceasefire in regards to Lebanon, our impression was that that was acceptable, only to learn now that no, it is not acceptable. And I fail to understand how war and the continuation of war can be the only option. There must be other options, and therefore I will reiterate our call for ceasefire, and I will reiterate our call for diplomacy to prevail, and I will note that the statement was worded very carefully to ensure that not just Lebanon's interests were taken into account, but also the interests of Israel. And I hope, again, that we can allow diplomacy to prevail rather than the guns.
I just want to reiterate that yesterday the 27 member states of the European Union agreed on a statement on exactly the same line as the one that was forged by US and France and joined by other states. The war is not a solution. And these attacks against Lebanon has been creating such a great number of civilian casualties that cannot just be justified by the right to defense. Certainly, the right to defense exists for everyone, also for Israel. But the way this war is being conducted, by this high number of strikes from the air and from the land, forcing hundreds of thousands of people to leave their countries, their houses, which are being destroyed, so they will not have anywhere to go back, is certainly not the way to ensure the security of Israel. I think it's just the contrary. So I can only reiterate the call of the member states of the European Union for a ceasefire and to look for the only possible solution, which is the implementation of the agreed United Nations resolutions.
We could do one last question, please.
هذا التحالف هل هناك يعني اتصالات بتجري مع الأطراف خاصة الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية إسرائيل من جهة وإيران من جهة أخرى لضبط النفس لإيجاد مخرج للحل الدبلوماسي أم لا؟
لا، هذا التحالف ليس له علاقة بأمور التصعيد الإقليمي أو المحادثات المباشرة، هي لخلق البيئة والأجواء اللازمة لقيام حل الدولتين مرة أخرى. وبالتأكيد العائق الأكبر هو عدم الاعتراف بالدولة الفلسطينية، لكن أيضا هناك أمور مثل بناء المؤسسات وأمور أخرى. وكانت الفكرة الأساسية أن نخرج من إطار التعلق بموضوع التفاوض، بل أن ننطلق في بناء لبنات قيام حل الدولتين حتى ولو كان أحد الأطراف متعنتة. وبالتأكيد نرى الآن الإدارة الإسرائيلية ترفض القبول بفكرة حل الدولتين، ولا يمكن أن نبقى مكتوفي الأيدي وننتظر في ظل هذا الرفض ورفض كل القرارات الأممية ذات الصلة. ولذلك قررنا نحن والاتحاد الأوروبي ونرويج وعدد من الدول الأخرى أن نمضي قدما ونبدأ أن نبني الحلول لا أن ننتظر. شكرا لكم. Thank you very much.